Hello, everyone. Today is February 17th. I would love to release the podcast titled Kingdom's Principles. I've taken my time to listen to a lot of kingdom related principle YouTubes, and there were common things and common takeaways. And I would love to share those learning points with you. So when we build something and create something because it is well aligned with God's characteristics, there are principles that we need to thoroughly think of and ask God. And one of the principles before we create or build anything, because that is well aligned with God's characteristics, because he's the creator of this universe and he created us, right? And in Genesis, you can see the process of how he created the earth and us. And one is we need to ask ourselves, is it well aligned with his direction? So direction is one of the important things, because let's say you built a business, but you have your business partners, but if your business partners are not well aligned with your direction that you would like to pursue, then it will be always the loss, because you want to go to the north, but let's say your business partners wants to go to southern part, south, then there's no progress at all. You're supposed to leverage each other, you're supposed to build each other and complement each other. So if the direction that you're pursuing is not well aligned with God's direction, that's the time that you need to ask God and start again, because before you start, even strive to build something, create something, because it's not well aligned with God's direction. At the end of the day, there's no guaranteed prosperity, because your direction and God's direction is not aligned. So before we dig anything deeper, before we start anything, ask his direction first. Is it well aligned with God's direction? And number two is alignment. So alignment, that includes direction, because that will determine your prosperity. So alignment, is it well aligned with God's core principles and core values? So that comes down to his characteristics, meaning his godly characteristics. Is it for my own glory? Is it self-seeking, or is it for others? Is it for glorify him? Because the intention is really important, because that produces different results. And all of this wilderness journey was really refining my pure intention and my intention that is glorifying God. And I now know deeply that everything is for his glory, and I need to always make sure that there's no self-seeking and self-glorifying myself, because everything that is given to us is for his glory, and that is the well alignment that we should find before we do anything. And saying is one thing, and really acting upon it is different, right? So whenever there was the good result while I was working as the sales lead generator, yeah, I glorify God, and that was the practice moment for me. And so recap, direction, his direction, is it well aligned with his direction? And also his alignment coming down to his characteristics and his values and our intention. And also digging deeper principles back to his characteristics. God is the God is for the justice, his principles, justice and impartiality and righteousness. So whenever we choose anything, is it right? Is it glorifying God? Is it right? And that is righteousness pillar. And also, is it impartial? Is it fair to everyone? So another thing is fairness. And also, like mentioned before, is it self-glorifying? Is it out of my own greed, or is it for glorifying God? And those are the key questions that you can ask yourself. And it doesn't have to be really the business related, but it can be also related to our daily decision making and also choices. Is it yes? And all of those things comes down to knowledge. All of those things comes down to wisdom. And before we seek anything, before we do anything, we need to seek biblical wisdom and knowledge first. And it's okay. You can ask God, and it's okay. You don't know which way to go, because at the end of the day, it can be this or that. God, should I take this role or that role? Or should I turn left or right? It can be this or that. But when it comes to principles, when it comes to alignment, when it comes to direction, those are the key questions we need to ask before we start up something very big in our lives. And that will determine our prosperity and abundance down the road, because before we start anything, before we kick off anything, when we have that moment to ask God those big, strong foundation and key principles, which will determine the sustainability of what you are trying to do, then God will guarantee that sustainability and that prosperity, because you're well aligning yourself with those key principles and core values that God would cherish and really direct your steps and produce your results. Obviously, yes, it's our portion to act upon what we're supposed to do, but the results and the results at the end of the day, he's the one ultimate one who would bless the results. So yes, we need to have that both sowing and also reaping perspectives. And at the same time, we need to also, ask God those directions, alignment, and also ask ourselves as well, is it well aligned with our core values, godly principles? And I wanted to share all of this with you because those were all of the takeaways that actually reminded myself and question myself. So I hope this episode was helpful. Thank you for taking your time to check this episode out. Connect with us on Instagram at fitwell.to. And if you like this episode, please click the like button and share it with your neighbors and your friends if you think that this would be helpful for our neighbors as well. Thank you. God bless you.